What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is we're slowly reaching that 100 episode mark and we're just having a blast. I mean, we've interviewed artists from Canada, the UK, Australia, just wherever you can think of someone living and singing music and playing music, that's where we've interviewed people, and we're just having a blast. And today I welcome Janelle to the show. Janelle, how are you today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
And not too bad. I always just love when artists just take time out of their day to sit here and talk about their story through music and just really kind of hear their background and how they started in music, where they kind of go want to go with their music, and just what else we can like kind of just the background, because you can hear artists all the time and you can say, oh, they're a cool artist, like I love their song, I love like what they're doing, but to
Mhm.
hear how they actually wrote that song, to hear how they actually started singing and playing and all of that stuff is just really cool to kind of hear that story. And it just helps you get more exposure and just to promote your music. So thank you for taking time out of your day to do all this today.
And thank you so much as well. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. So kind of just hopping right into the first question is always the basic of basics. It really kind of just sets up the whole show is where did everything start for you? Because I know some people start at such an early age. They start humming nursery rhymes and stuff the day they were born, but I always like to compare it to someone like myself who really only started songwriting and producing and all that and back in 2018. So that was only 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. And it's crazy how some people can start at such an early age and then some people just start. But for you, where did everything kind of come about for you?
So I have always really been into music. I like growing up, my family is really big into like singing along with the radio and just music in general, but passively. And I realized more and more like my favorite movies and all my favorite things I liked were because of the music that was in them. Like I loved Aladdin and I didn't know why, and my siblings hated it because of Jafar, but I loved Aladdin. I was like, why is that? And I love the music. I love Robin Williams, like just amazing. So growing up, I have always been the singer of the family. There are so many funny stories my family will tell. In particular, I'm not like crazy into fishing. So I grew up in Wisconsin. You can probably tell from the accent. Super great. Love that. Trying to get rid of that. Um, but we go fishing and you have to be quiet, otherwise you'll scare all the fish away. And I would just get so bored and I would start singing to the fish to tell them to come to the boat so we could be done fishing. And it was, yeah. So just always singing. And honestly, my mom tells a story about how I was in the shopping cart and I was singing the song. I was really little. And she was like, what song are you singing? And I was like, I don't know. I love always like made up my own little melodies. I credit myself as a really big melody person. I love making super catchy little riffs. And so like middle school comes around and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start just writing. And so I am old. I am 27. And I and I I have been writing music that whole time. And just constantly writing and trying to share with people around me. But again, my family is very passive when it comes to music. And because I don't play any instruments, it's really hard to share the vision of what you're creating without anything else behind it to
Right.
back it up, to show the instrumentation and the beat and the the swelling of the music, the build.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so then COVID hit. I feel like it's like the turn for everyone's story nowadays.
Literally the turn for everyone's
I
story.
Yeah, I have no doubt. COVID hits right at the beginning of lockdown. My long-term boyfriend broke up with me. I moved back in with my parents for a little bit. Um, Come Christmas, it was like right after Christmas time. For this song I will be sharing later. But I was just I felt like empty. It was like
Mm.
there's so much going on around me, and I couldn't think of living the rest of my life as I had been, being the only person hearing my own songs in my head.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, because some of these are amazing and I'm just sitting on them.
Yeah.
And it was so depressing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to change that because the only person who's going to change it is me. Like, no one else is going to be like, hey, do you have great songs? I've never heard you sing in my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. No, that's not going to happen. So I started reaching out to a producer in town. I live in Madison, and we made 3 songs, which are currently out on Spotify. And from then, reached out to higher and higher up producers. So right now, I'm working with someone in Nashville, and I'm super excited because we're working on 4 songs right now, and they sound incredible.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I'm. This is like way more than your question.
Yeah, no, no, you are good. Honestly, no, it just like I said, it really just sets up the whole story for how you get into music and just where everything kind of started for you. And I mean, obviously, getting to know producers down in Nashville is a super valuable thing because that can just open so many other doors too. Because there is just so many super talented people down there, and sometimes it's hard to really find someone to do something with just because there are so many options down there as well.
Yes. Um, uh, I won't name drop, but he knows some people. And so if things work out, there could be things happening.
Okay.
But the studio that I sang the songs in is the studio that Dolly Parton goes to. And
Awesome.
she's making an album right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
That's
know. We had
no.
to pick the right weekend because she apparently likes doing weekends in the studio. And
Oh,
I was driving down, so I needed the weekend. And so she was being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I got that weekend time slot. He was like, I know she won't be here for that. She'll be in LA. I was like, great, let's do it.
no, that's awesome. And I mean, obviously, Dolly's an icon. I mean, we all love her. And honestly, kind of gets into the next question that I want to ask is talking about inspirations. I mean, I could sit here, people know I'm a country boy at heart. So, I mean, I have all my country inspirations. And then Chris Daughtry, huge rock and roll artist. I love him, one of my all time favorite artists. But my next question, kind of for you, is who are some of your inspirations that you kind of really look up to in the music industry?
So because I mean I've been in choirs basically my whole life. But because I have no formal training, I um I genre hop a lot when I write songs. I don't really hold back. It's wherever the song takes me. And honestly, I think it makes the songs better for
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but it also makes it really difficult because I am a melody person. I am very particular. I'm more of a song to song person.
Mhm.
Um, so I like anything rock, typically classic rock. I like a bunch of pop, and I like alternative music as well.
Mhm.
Um, I would say I would love to emulate the career path of Lord
Okay.
because I love the way her music says something, but
Mhm.
is so interesting and catchy and singable. But her personality is very relaxed.
Yeah.
She's quite goofy. She doesn't take herself too seriously, and I think that's awesome. I mean, even just like bring it back to Dolly. I mean, she's an amazing like singer, songwriter, philanthropist. She amazing person in general. Also, so the guys I was in the studio with, because we had some instruments, we had a band come in. They were talking, and they have a conspiracy. They say Dolly always wears long sleeves, and they've worked with her a couple times. They think it's because she's got tattoos.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
She's got like
Interesting.
sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. But I mean, like I like so many different artists,
Mm.
like now and then. I mean, Lizzo is super infectious with her personality. I love being around other like upbeat, fun people. But I mean, I love Tears for Fears is some of my favorites, classic rock, well, more pop. But like I really span a wide genre. So because I appreciate a lot of different music.
Right. No, and that's awesome because like I always tell people like as much as you love like as much as I love country music, like never box yourself into one thing. Like don't let yourself just be trapped in that little hole like in that box because there are so many amazing genres out there. There's so many amazing artists out there whether they're in a genre that you really don't listen to that much. Maybe that person kind of like you said, maybe their career path or just their personality you
Mhm.
could find something that you just love. And I always just say, like, there are so many, you get on the highway, there's 4 different lanes for a reason because you can go at whatever speed you want to go at and
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want to do. Like the road is limitless. And just to really just like you said, just to have those kind of like all different genres and like different people is just it's really cool just to kind of hear stuff like that because some people are just like oh no I only like this person and that person because I only listen to this genre.
Yeah. I will say I've been really enjoying listening to Secret. I think
Mhm.
she's from Norway. You know
Yeah.
who that is?
Yes.
Okay, see. I love like her new song, It Gets Dark,
Mhm.
Burning Bridges. I like Mirror as well. There's just a bunch of really fun songs, and I like her vibe. She's quite um genuine. I would say I like a lot of genuine artists, like when
Yeah.
they're singing from the heart. And it feels like that is her because she gets quite goofy in the music videos.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, talking about some of these artists too is just their songwriting aspect is really what draws me into a lot of different artists, and that's really what I look for when I listen to whether it's an independent artist like yourself or whether it's someone big and just in general any artist. Is I sit there and listen to the lyrics because I'm a huge lyric person. I think we actually talked about this the other day when we were setting up, getting ready for the interview and stuff. Is just the songwriting aspect of doing stuff is just it's crazy. There is no rhyme or reason to how you write a song, and obviously you know that, any artist knows that. And I always just have to quote Garrett Walker, who was on the show. He kind of said this analogy perfectly, is the songwriting process is like a puzzle. Whether you have like a 200, 300, 400 piece puzzle and you're just sitting there, you're kind of have all these pieces scrambled on the table and you don't know how they fit together. So you slowly start putting these pieces together, then you build the border, then you put the middle together, and you're like, okay, hey, I know this goes there, that goes there now. And by the end, you have this full song, you have this full
Yeah.
masterpiece.
Mhm.
So kind of I always just love Garrett Walker for that because I will quote him until the day I stop making episodes or until the day I die. Like that man just said it perfectly. He just came on the show one day, said it perfectly, and I was like, okay, that's it.
Mic drop.
So
Yep.
yeah, so kind of just to really formally ask the question to you is what is your creative process like when it comes to making music?
um, so I again am a melody person. When I write, it's typically unintentionally. It's when my brain is distracted and it kind of just does its own thing in the background. So I will be in the kitchen, I will be driving, I will be getting in the shower. Like it's those moments where you're doing something, but it doesn't really require all of your brain, and that little bit of the brain that's left kind of comes up with its own elevator music, like it does its own little thing. And then I start really listening to what I'm singing. I'm like, oh, that's really catchy. I really like that. And then it's like, ah, shit. The most inconvenient times you're like whipping out your phone, throwing
Yo.
on a towel. You're like, ah, okay, hope this car's around. Where's the phone? Where's the phone? Voice memo that. But I definitely agree. I agree with Chris. When he says you don't know what part of the song you're like writing, absolutely. Because I like to match my verses with my chorus from voice memos that I already have,
Okay.
because some I've tried writing a chorus and then writing the verses for it, and it always sounds very forced.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't sound like it flows really well, and then the verses are never catchy enough
Mhm.
for the chorus. So I love listening back to my voice memos that have like 400 right now.
Don't
And
trust me, we all do.
so many. I got a new phone, but I have to keep the old one because the voice memos
The
don't
voice.
transfer. I
Oh no.
know, because I changed from iPhone to Google Pixel for the camera, for the gram. Um, but they don't transfer. So I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta keep it by my bed just for the voice memos. But
Yep.
you'll come up with a great idea. You'll be like, do I have anything that's similar tone, similar beats per minute, similar subject matter that it could work? And you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you listen, and oh my gosh, you come up with something amazing to piece together.
Mhm.
So I definitely agree with Chris. Voice memos, how would I survive without them?
No, exactly. And I mean, honestly, it's just so funny when I ask that question because if artists don't mention voice memos, then like I'm like, well, do you actually write music? Are you actually like, what are you doing if you don't have voice memos on your phone? It doesn't matter if it's a 3 a.m. voice memo or a 12 o'clock
Yes,
in the afternoon voice memo. Like you have to have one at some point in your life.
yes. I have a couple instrumental ideas for guitars,
Mhm.
and they're literally called Waking Up because I woke myself up because I was like, this is too good. You can't sleep through it. So I was like, the idea must come out. But yeah, should get sponsored. This episode comes to you by Voice Memo.
No,
One,
that's it. It's just I love voice memos, and like I said, we've all been there at 3 a.m. when all of a sudden just something like pops into your mind like that. Like sometimes, like I'll just like you said, like you can either be getting into the car or getting into the shower, and then like I have to like yell out of the car, like yell out of the shower, and be like, "Hey Siri, like write this down," because like if you it just sometimes the words just come at the most odd times, like when you're not expecting it, or when you're kind of just sitting there and then all of a sudden, like I know me, like I'm just all over the place, is like 2 minutes later I'll forget everything that I just thought of. So that's why voice memos are literally the biggest savior in the whole world.
I was I work in labs, but I was working at a different job in a lab, and it was some timed event. Like you had to finish it in a certain period of time, and I was the only one in the room, and I came up with this incredible melody, and we weren't allowed to have our phones in the room.
Oh no.
So I sang it to myself for 45 minutes so I would not forget it.
Oh
And
no,
when
dedication.
I ran out, yeah, it's a song that I have finished. But you can't hear it because it's not finished. It's written. Everything I do is done.
Yeah.
I wish that meant the song was done.
No, exactly. I honestly like I wish that's like it's just the whole process is so difficult and some people just don't realize how much time and how much money actually goes into it because honestly the writing is literally it's like half of the first step sometimes, like it's not even like the full first step, like it's just I wish it was that simple. I wish I could just write the song and be like, okay, hey, bam, throw the melody to it and call it a day, but like it just like you just said, it's so crazy.
It's really, really long and it's hard when you're impatient, but I mean, it's worth it in the long run.
No, it is absolutely. So getting to the fourth question, it's always my favorite one and it's always the most difficult one. And when I say that, people start grinning like you kind of just did there. Because I always say, thank God I'm the one asking the questions because I don't know if I can actually answer this one. So that's why I'm throwing it on you. And it's just there are so many independent up and coming artists out there on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, all that fun stuff. And it's hard sometimes to really just put your name out there and get your music more exposure and just say, hey, this is me. This is who I am. So at the end of the day is you have these three songs out there, you have obviously more in the works like you said, is but what can we take away from your music that we can't find in anyone else's music, and just what makes you you compared to all these other artists?
Definitely. Um, so I'm gonna start this with a little story. Like growing up and hearing all these amazing vocalists, I kind of I don't have voice lessons, but I taught myself that a song isn't as good or as valuable if you're not really pushing your voice. Like if it's an easy song to sing, then oh well, it's just meh. It's a meh song if it's easy to sing. And I still really enjoy belting, and I can belt. which I'm very proud of. But more and more I'm learning working with my current producer, Kelly. And he got some feedback from one of his contacts, Eurovision related, which I'm really excited. But he got feedback from one of his contacts, and they listened to the 4 songs that we have in the works right now, and it's a variety. Um, it's again, I write everything, and so it's everything. Um, and so they picked out one song in particular, and they said, "You do this very well." Which I was surprised by because it was my least favorite song. Um, it's a sad song. And I was surprised because I guess I'm realizing more and more I do vulnerability very well.
Mhm.
I can do all the other belting, the crazy stuff. A lot of people can do that. And so if you hear a song and you think, oh, she can sing really well. Or if you hear a song and you think, wow, I want to listen to this song again. This one like connects with me. It's interesting. That means more to people than just saying, oh, it's a fun melody. She can sing well. That's what I'm realizing. So um I I'm leaning more and more because as much as I love writing every song under the sun, I'm leaning more and more towards narrowing my focus because otherwise I hate I hate the marketing aspect of selling yourself online. But I need people to understand what I stand for, and so I do need to kind of narrow the focus a little bit.
Mhm.
And vulnerability doesn't always mean like sad. It just means very personal and intimate with whatever you're saying, like between you and a person.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm kind of thinking that's more of the direction I'll go. However, I still want to build a lot. So you're gonna have to deal with that. I don't know. Marketing schmarketing. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm independent also, so this is on my own time. So I do what I want.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just I just always love asking that question because it really just kind of shows who an artist is and
Yeah.
just what their vision is and kind of just what else we can expect from them
Yeah.
years to come. And that's going to kind of just lead into this last question because I want to get to the
Just quick. Yes.
yeah.
But just to add one other thing to that, I would say distinctly what makes me different is that I am a very genuine person. I don't put on fronts, and I understand that a lot of independent artists probably don't either.
Mhm.
However, I feel like a lot of major artists put on what they want you to see, and it's understandable. Everyone does that, but I feel like I'm not trying to sell you on something that I'm not, which a lot of people do.
No, absolutely. And I'm 100% with that because
Yeah.
sometimes people just put on too much and they do what people want them to do because that's what's going to get them more more everything, and it's not what I look for in artists. Like I just want someone that's true to themselves. They know who they are, they know what they want to do,
Yeah.
they know where they can go, they know what they can do, and they're just being themselves. Like you are just you're an amazing person, and you have that personality, and I love that. And just your songwriting, your skills are unbelievable, and no,
Oh, wow.
you're a super
I thought
talented
you meant like
artist.
you in general. I didn't know you meant the me specific. Thank you. Thank you. No, I
No,
appreciate that.
yeah, no, of course. So this kind of just leads into the last question before we hear some stuff from you, which is obviously my favorite part of the interview, but just kind of looking towards your future. I know you already kind of touched up on it a little bit, is that you have these songs in the work, you're going to be releasing more music, but just what are some of your short-term and long-term goals as an artist, and what else can we obviously expect down the road from you?
Yeah. Short term, obviously finish the songs. That might take a little longer than I'd like and a lot more money than I'd like. So we're gonna work at the pace that I can afford. Um, but ultimately, I would love for my producer, his friend, works a lot with Eurovision, and the Eurovision friend really, really wants to work with my friend again. So I might become a pet project. I would love that. That would be great. Um, also, Um, okay, this is like really, really shot in the dark, but one of the songs we were working on, it's a love song. Like it's like a straight classic love song. Everyone who hears it is like, yes, that sounds like Celine Dion. Like it really does. And I know that's like, wow, she's an independent artist and she's so far reaching, but like genuinely it does. I spent 8 years writing that song because I could never get the lyrics right. I know. I started, oh. But it's not about anyone in particular. It's just the feeling and like it's amazing. And there's a key change. The key change is key. So good. But I and this again is just like no one will probably respond. It's whatever. But independent artists, I can do what I want. No one is restraining me. So I was thinking about what movies would be great for this song, and because it's definitely like a movie soundtrack kind of song. And besides my mom being like Hallmark, which it would be great for Hallmark, I was like too good for Hallmark. What are you talking about? Um, um, the news just said a couple months ago that they're making a live action remake of Hercules.
Okay.
And the director, Guy Ritchie, wants a quote, TikTok influence, which I don't have a presence on TikTok. I've tried, but it doesn't, but I don't really have a presence on TikTok. But the crazy thing is he wants young people and their influence to create this Hercules live action remake. And when the song is done, I'm gonna hit them up because it could be, it's very much like his perspective, obviously sung by a female, but it's his perspective. Kind of, it just, it came to me. I was like, what would be the best movie for this? And Hercules. And I was like, are they doing a live action remake? The timing is great. So,
No,
we gotta shoot our shot.
exactly. Honestly, I live by a quote. Honestly, it's actually funny that you kind of just said that because you're going to just take that shot. Is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And
Yeah.
honestly, I sit here every day and I'm super thankful that I got into the songwriting, that I got into podcasting and stuff like that, because 5 years, 10 years from now, if I never did that, I'd be sitting there kicking myself in the butt, regretting it that I never tried. So, I mean, you go for it. And obviously, you are such a talented artist. And I can't wait for your new music to come out. And I just can't wait to see what else happens for you because you are super talented. And I just look forward to what's to come.
Thank you. No, everything you're saying about shooting your shot with podcasting, that is 100% the feeling with music. And I've gotten this far. I mean, I reached out to my producer and never expected him to message me back, but he did. So you never know. Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
really, really excited.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. So that kind of concludes all the questions that I had for you today. And now kind of getting to the fun part is hearing a little clip of a song that you have.
Yeah.
So I will kind of put myself on mute if you want to just let us know a little bit about the song and then play as much as you want of it. And other than that, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Really quick, I just like to apologize. Because I don't play any instruments, I can't do anything acoustic. Sorry, audience. I would love to. Also, I messed up and I thought I had the karaoke version. This is one of the rough drafts for it's not the full song, it's gonna be the first verse and chorus because it's the sad song. So it's a lot of like just piano. So it won't change that much. You'll still get like the full breath of what that's gonna feel like for the most part. I thought I had the karaoke version of it so I could sing with it. Turns out I don't. So you are going to hear the rough vocals. I'm going to be honest, the rough vocals sound awesome. I'm still going to sing along with it though too. But this song title, we're debating. Usually I know exactly what I want to call it. This one is either going to be Holding Out Hope or Doing It on My Own. I say doing it on my own a lot in the song. There's like a chorus section that I sing, and then there's an instrumental after part. So it's not just sad because the chorus that I had originally written was very depressing. It was just doing it on my own a bunch of times, and it sounded pretty, but it was very sad. And I was like, okay, we need to make this a sad bop. So at least there's some lift. So I wrote this like instrumental part to go in between, and it's super fun, but it is not produced wholly, so I don't want to play that for you. But yeah, I'm leaning towards holding out hope because I think it just sounds more hopeful, and we don't need to be so sad all the time. So I have the first 44 seconds, and I'm just going to start playing it, and then I'll sing along with it as well. Sing with myself.
Awesome.
I call myself just to know someone else could leave a message if they try. Oh, in my harmonies, I just want out of me the only ones I can rely. Don't know if I could take a heartbreak, shine into the bone, holding up all my heart can make it. It's so hard to do it all alone. And then the bop comes in.
I mean, that was only the first like few seconds, and I already have chills from that. Like it just the lines, like there's always something about an artist and a piano. Like I just though, like I mean, you can make so many comparisons with so many different things, but like an artist and a piano, like to me, that's music to my ears. I love that, and I can't wait to hear that full thing. Like I already know that's gonna be a hit song for you.
I'm really excited. That's the one that my producer and the Eurovision guy are most excited for.
Yeah, no, I definitely just from that little sneak peek, I love that, and I can't wait to hear that full version and wait for everything to come out because I will be blowing that up and helping you get more exposure for that for sure.
I'm super excited for the song to be done too. I'm so impatient.
So that kind of concludes everything. We heard some music, we did some questions, and other than that, real quick, kind of before I do my little outro here, is where can we find you on social media so people can go check out some of your stuff?
Yeah. So primarily I'm on Instagram. It's going to be Janelle music underscore official. And then I am on TikTok. If you want to be one of the first 1,000 followers, uh, it's at Singing Over the Moon.
Awesome. Janelle, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit here, talk about your story through music, share some music with us. And again, I just can't wait to see what else comes for you and just appreciate you being on the show today.
No, this was really, really nice. Thank you so much for reaching out. I really enjoyed this.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point. Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new artists, new music, new stories. Never know who's going to be on here. Never know what you're going to hear. So y'all stay tuned for next week. And thanks for tuning in tonight.